It's one of the simplest and most brutal truths about money. Billionaire Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's legendary partner at Berkshire Hathaway, once said, "The hard part of the process for most people is the first $100,000. Not the first million, not becoming a billionaire, just the first $100,000. And he called it the hardest money you'll ever make. It sounds almost insulting in an era of crypto millionaires and viral side hustles. But for Munger, this number wasn't random. It was a test of patience, discipline, and emotional control. Because the first $100,000 isn't just money, it's proof. Proof that you can control your impulses. Proof that you can delay gratification. And proof that you can build momentum from nothing. At the 1999 Berkshire Hathaway shareholder meeting, someone asked Munger and Buffett the ultimate question: how can I make $30 billion? Buffett smiled and said, "Start young." But Munger didn't joke. He leaned into the microphone and cut straight to the truth. If you have a standing start at zero, getting together $100,000 is a long struggle for most people. The crowd laughed, but Munger wasn't kidding. He knew the first 6 figures are the mountain, and every dollar after that is gravity working in your favor. Once you hit that mark, the snowball starts to roll. $100,000 earning 7% a year becomes $107,000, then $115,000, then $130,000, without you lifting a finger. But before that, it's grind, sacrifice, and brutal consistency. And Munger said the people who actually do it, the ones who cross that invisible line early, almost always share 3 traits, 3 simple habits that separate the wealthy from the wishful thinkers. We'll get to those in a moment. But first, you need to understand why this number changes everything, and why most people never make it past that point. For most people, the first $100,000 feels impossible. But once you reach it, something shifts. Charlie Munger used to call it financial gravity. Before that point, you're pushing the snowball uphill. Every dollar you save feels small, slow, and meaningless. But after that first 6 figures, the hill flips. Money starts working for you, not the other way around. That's the secret no one tells you. You don't need millions to be financially free. You just need enough capital to make compound interest do the heavy lifting. Imagine this: you save and invest until you hit $100,000. You stop adding money entirely, and your portfolio grows 7% a year. After 10 years, that turns into nearly $200,000. After 20 years, almost $400,000. And that's without a single extra deposit. That's why Munger said most people never get rich, not because they can't, but because they give up too early. The first 10K feels slow. The next 50K feels impossible. But what they don't realize is that they're inches away from the point where the system finally starts compounding for them. Warren Buffett once compared it to rolling a snowball down a long hill. The key is to find wet snow and a really long hill. That hill is time, and the first $100,000 is the snowball you build by hand, with sweat, sacrifice, and relentless consistency. Munger knew this from experience. He didn't inherit wealth. He built it slowly, through discipline and logic. And that's why, when people asked him for shortcuts, he never talked about luck or timing. Instead, he talked about behavior. Because the difference between someone who wants $100,000 and someone who has it comes down to 3 brutally simple habits. And once you know them, you'll see exactly why most people never cross that invisible line. Charlie Munger wasn't impressed by flashy investments or overnight success stories. He believed real wealth came down to behavior, not brilliance. And according to him, the people who reach that first $100,000 fastest all share 3 traits. 3 quiet superpowers that almost no one talks about. First, they're rational. These people don't chase trends, gamble on hype stocks, or panic when markets drop. They think in decades, not days. They ask, "Does this make sense?" instead of, "What's everyone else doing?" Being rational doesn't sound exciting, but it's what keeps your money growing while others lose theirs chasing the next big thing. Second, they're opportunistic. Munger said the wealthiest people see upside where others see risk. They don't wait for the perfect moment. They recognize opportunity in chaos. Whether it's buying when others are scared, learning a new skill before it's trendy, or starting a side hustle when everyone else is complaining, they act when the odds are in their favor. Munger once put it simply, the big money is not in the buying or selling, but in the waiting. And third, they underspend aggressively. These people live way below their means, not because they have to, but because they choose to. While others upgrade cars, phones, and lifestyles, they quietly stack cash. They turn every dollar into an employee working for them, instead of another expense. Munger called this grossly underspending your income. And he meant grossly, because when everyone else is chasing appearances, the real winners are building financial armor. It's not glamorous, it's not viral, but it's how empires begin. The rational stay calm, the opportunistic move fast, and the savers never quit. That's the formula Munger used to turn small beginnings into billions. And the reason he said most people fail isn't a lack of intelligence. It's a lack of patience. And that's where the story gets interesting, because Munger believed that once you have patience, money becomes inevitable. Charlie Munger used to say, "The big money is in the waiting, not the doing." It's a strange idea in a world that glorifies hustle, speed, and instant results. But Munger understood something most people never learn. Time is the most powerful investor in the world. You can be smart, lucky, or connected, but if you can't wait, you'll lose to the person who can. The secret to wealth isn't constant action, it's consistency. When your money has time to grow undisturbed, it compounds, quietly, invisibly, but exponentially. Munger compared it to growing a tree. You can't dig it up every few months to check the roots. You plant it, water it, and let it stand through storms. The same goes for wealth. Every time you panic sell, impulse buy, or chase a new trend, you're ripping the roots out of your own tree. Buffett and Munger built Berkshire Hathaway by being painfully patient. They ignored noise, held great businesses for decades, and let compounding do the work. Munger called it sitting on your A and letting your money grow. The numbers prove him right. $10,000 earning 7% a year turns into $76,000 in 30 years. But the real power comes at the end, because half that growth happens in the final decade. That's the magic of compounding. Slow at first, explosive later. And yet, most people quit right before the explosion. They give up in year 5 or 10 or just before the snowball starts rolling on its own. That's why Munger preached patience like a religion. Because if you can master waiting, if you can stay rational when others are impulsive, you don't need a genius IQ or a perfect market. You just need time. But Munger didn't stop there. He said even patience isn't enough. Not if you ignore the mindset behind it. Because to truly build wealth, you have to think differently about money itself. Charlie Munger once said, "To get what you want, you have to deserve what you want." He wasn't talking about luck. He was talking about mindset, the quiet mental rewiring that separates investors from spenders. Most people see money as something to use. They earn it, spend it, repeat. It comes in, it goes out. But Munger and Buffett saw money as something to grow. Every dollar was a seed, and every decision was a chance to plant or burn it. That's the mindset shift that changes everything. When you start viewing your money as an army of workers, small, tireless, and loyal, you treat each dollar differently. You protect it, you deploy it wisely, and you give it a mission to earn more dollars. Munger believed this mindset was what kept people from sabotaging themselves. Because the truth is, most people don't lose money in the markets, they lose it in their minds. They chase hype, spend emotionally, or convince themselves they deserve a lifestyle that kills their progress. The investor mindset, on the other hand, is calm, boring, ruthless even. It's the voice that says, "I don't need to look rich. I want to be rich." Munger often mocked people who measured success by how much they spent instead of how much they kept. He called it status addiction, a disease that keeps people broke no matter how much they earn. He knew that true wealth isn't loud, it's quiet. It's the freedom to wake up without financial fear, to choose your work, your time, your life. That's why he focused less on getting rich and more on staying rich. Because money is a game of discipline, not drama. And the people who understand that don't just earn wealth, they keep it. But Munger also understood something deeper, something philosophical. That money alone isn't the goal, it's just the fuel. Charlie Munger never worshipped money, he respected it. To him, wealth was never the finish line. It was the byproduct of living intelligently. He once said, "It's not greed that drives the world, it's envy." And he was right. Most people don't chase wealth to be free, they chase it to look freer than someone else. But Munger's philosophy flipped that script. He believed that real success came from mastering yourself, not the markets. Money was a test of character. If you could stay rational when others panicked, live simply when others overspent, and keep learning when others quit, the money would come naturally. He called this inversion thinking. Instead of asking, "How do I get rich?" he asked, "What mistakes do I need to avoid to stay poor?" It's a quiet kind of brilliance, one that focuses on removing stupidity instead of chasing genius. He applied this principle to everything: business, investing, even happiness. He knew that wealth without wisdom was a trap. That's why he read voraciously, learned from history, and surrounded himself with thinkers, not cheerleaders. For Munger, the purpose of money was freedom, not luxury. Freedom to think, to choose, to walk away from nonsense. That's why he admired people who were independent in thought, not just rich in assets. He once told an audience, "The best thing a human being can do is to help another human being know more." That's not something you hear from most billionaires. But for Munger, wealth meant nothing if you didn't use it to make better decisions, build better systems, or leave the world a bit wiser than you found it. Still, Munger's most powerful message wasn't about the money you make. It was about the time you waste, because he believed that the real tragedy isn't dying poor. It's living without learning. In his later years, Charlie Munger didn't care about yachts, fame, or luxury. He cared about clarity, about helping people see that the path to wealth was never about secrets. It was about principles. He summarized a lifetime of wisdom into a few simple truths, ideas so obvious that most people overlook them their entire lives. Spend less than you earn, invest the difference wisely, keep learning, and don't interrupt compounding. That was it. No shortcuts, no hype, no luck, just brutal honesty and discipline. He often joked that people didn't want advice, they wanted easy answers that work instantly. But the real world doesn't reward impatience. It rewards those who can delay gratification long enough for compounding to do its magic. Munger's legacy wasn't just about making billions. It was about teaching people how to think, rationally, calmly, and independently. He reminded us that your mind is your greatest asset, and protecting it from greed, fear, and envy is more valuable than any stock tip. Even after his passing, his words echo through every investor's journey. Take a simple idea and take it seriously. That's what Munger did his entire life. And it's why his impact stretches far beyond the walls of Berkshire Hathaway. His formula still applies to everyone. Be rational when others are emotional. Be patient when others are restless. Keep learning when others think they already know enough. Do that, and your wealth, financial and intellectual, will grow naturally, like a snowball rolling down a hill. In the end, Munger's greatest lesson wasn't about how to make money. It was about how to live well, to think long-term, stay humble, and understand that real success isn't loud, it's quiet, consistent, and deeply earned. So if you're chasing your first $100,000, remember what Charlie Munger said, The hard part is the beginning. But once you start, the world has a way of rewarding discipline. And maybe, just maybe, that's the truest form of wealth. The peace that comes from knowing you're finally on the right path.